So that dreaded check engine light is on, and the scanner spits out a code, P1726. Your first thought is probably, what on earth does that mean? Well, don't worry. We're about to break down exactly what your Nissan is trying to tell you and, more importantly, how you can fix it. Let's dive right in. Here's our game plan for today. First, we'll figure out what this P1726 code actually is. Then, we'll look at the 4 most common culprits behind it. After that, I'll walk you through a simple troubleshooting checklist. We'll talk about the final boss, the ECM, and we'll wrap up with a clear action plan so you know exactly what to do. All right, let's start with the basics. Section 1, what is code P726? You've got the code, but what is your car actually trying to communicate? At its heart, the P1726 code means there's a communication problem. Think of it like a bad phone connection between your throttle, the part that controls how much air your engine gets, and the car's main computer, which is called the Engine Control Module, or ECM. When that signal gets garbled or lost, the ECM gets confused and flags this code. And this isn't just a little light on the dashboard. You're probably feeling this problem when you drive. You might notice your engine just feels sluggish, like it's not giving you the power it should. Or, even worse, your car might just stall out on you for no reason. These are classic signs that the throttle and the computer are just not talking to each other correctly. So, now for Section 2, the 4 common culprits. Where do we even start looking for the source of this problem? Well, the good news is, it usually boils down to one of 4 main suspects. Okay, here they are, the 4 potential troublemakers. You've got things like a faulty harness, an open circuit, corrosion, or a bad ECM. But notice something really important here. 3 of these 4 are all about wiring and connections. That's a huge clue. It tells us exactly where we need to start our investigation. Which brings us to Section 3, your troubleshooting checklist. Let's get our hands dirty. Figuratively, of course, with a super simple inspection you can do yourself. And we're going to start with the easiest fixes first. Here are your first 3 steps. Before you even think about calling a mechanic, you're going to do a simple visual check. First, just look at the wiring harness and its connectors. Then, physically check to make sure everything is plugged in nice and tight. And finally, look for any of that greenish, crusty buildup. That's corrosion on the metal parts. And this is probably the most important tip I can give you. Just start by looking. Pop the hood and use a flashlight. You're searching for anything that looks off. A wire that's been chewed on or frayed, a connector that's come loose, or some gunk that's blocking a connection. You'd be amazed how often the solution is right there in plain sight and costs you absolutely nothing to fix. Okay, Section 4, the final check. The ECM. So, what happens if you've checked all the wires, everything is clean and tight, but that light just won't go away? Well, that's when we have to start thinking about the car's brain. A malfunction in the engine control module is definitely the least common cause, but it's also the most serious. See, if the ECM itself is faulty, it can't read the signals coming in, no matter how perfect the wiring is. It's the command center, and if the general is having a bad day, the whole army is in trouble. And a bad ECM isn't just a minor issue. It's the root cause of those big, scary performance problems we talked about, like stalling or a really rough running engine. This is exactly why we save it for last. You want to rule out all the simpler, more common possibilities before you even consider replacing the computer. And that brings us to Section 5, fixing it yourself. We've covered a lot of information, so let's pull it all together into one final, clear action plan for you to follow. Your plan is really straightforward. Inspect, secure, and clean. First, look at the wires for any damage. Second, make sure all the connections are pushed in all the way. Third, clean off any corrosion you find. And only after you've done all of that, and I mean all of it, should you start to consider that the ECM might be the issue. Following this order is the absolute key to saving yourself time and money. So the bottom line is this. You now have the knowledge to tackle this problem head on. You know what the code means, you know the most likely culprits, and you have a step-by-step plan that starts with the simplest and cheapest fixes first. So really, the only question left is, are you ready to pop the hood and get started?